Hey, hey there, guys. Today I kind of wanted to come together and talk about this. It's called the Xenobot. It's something I've been kind of worried about. And something I haven't seen a lot of people really talking about, which is kind of concerning in and of itself. Maybe not a lot of people are too worried. Maybe a lot of people don't know about it. That's where I'm coming in, hoping to bring some light to it. Ever since I saw this thing, it's kind of just been a terrifying afterthought in my head of what could happen with a vaccine, especially since we don't know what's going into it. And we've always known about a mark of a beast or some kind of microchip being a possibility to be put into us. Uh, and I'm not really like trying to go too far and say this is a definite going to happen, but the reveal and of them working on something like this, which is called an organic microchip that is programmable. It's definitely a terrifying thought and leans more to the possibility that that is an actual probability.
You're looking at the world's first
We can
living
go ahead and start
robots.
it.
That's
Get
right, these
into it.
micro machines are in fact brand new programmable
All of
life
this just
forms
kind of
that
creeps me
researchers
out,
believe
honestly.
could help clean microplastics from our oceans or even repair organs inside our bodies. So,
Now, what I want you to notice how in this video they'll just gloss over stuff. Like they'll be talking about something and they'll give you the most minimum or in quotations good possibility for this thing, but they won't talk about the negative repercussions that could occur behind the scenes or what they could really use this thing for. And that's also another red flag whenever they're just like, well, it's all for good. It's all for good. Usually there is some ulterior motive that means it's also for some bad as well.
what exactly are these little things? And should we expect to see them whizzing through our bloodstreams anytime soon? Measuring less than a
I just want to say, I pray to God, I hope not.
millimeter wide, these Xenobots, as they're formally known, were created by researchers from the University of Vermont and Tufts University.
So just so y'all know, we have Vermont to blame for this.
Using stem cells harvested from the embryos of the African clawed frog and a sophisticated computer algorithm.
So so essentially playing God. Okay, so essentially playing God. We're just taking multiple different fucking embryos, frog embryos, and mixing them with other embryos and cells to essentially just make a cell that we can control.
Generated a blueprint design that allowed the team to then build a new form of life that has never existed before.
Again, playing God. Just play God, because why not? 2020. What else have we got to lose? Let's just play some God. Who
Cells
knows?
were first
Whatever. We've been doing
differentiated
it for
into
years
skin
anyway.
and heart cells. The skin cells were chosen for their capability to bond together to form the passive architecture of the Xenobot, while heart cells were selected for their ability to contract and relax, with the goal of manufacturing a type of tiny engine that would propel the Xenobots.
So I'm not gonna be honest. I kind of understand what's going on, what she's saying there, but to the common mind, that just kind of reads as what? That just sounds like a chimera. What's going on here?
After observing the natural dynamics between the skin and heart cells, the data was fed into an evolutionary algorithm run on a supercomputer. Based on this data, the algorithm
Let's just say thank you, Mr. Bill Gates, for supercomputers.
was able to generate millions of different cell configurations to test for a desired outcome, in this case, locomotion. And so began the test for survival. Only the fittest configurations advanced to the next stage, where they're designed.
So what you're telling me, survival of the fittest? So you guys are playing God, and now are using survival of the fittest to determine which ones go forward? Does anyone else just see the moral ramifications of this, like the negative side effects that this could have? Like, we shouldn't be playing God. And don't get me wrong, we already are. There are fucking pig farms, cow farms that are all made of clones. Like, I know we're playing God out there, but the thing is, we shouldn't be. Just bear with me, okay, on this thought. What if we stopped playing God completely? I know, I know it's wild thought. Very hard to wrap your mind around. But what if we just stopped? Yeah, just ponder on that for a little bit.
Designs were then crafted into better digital models. After about 100 test runs, only the very best configurations were left. Thanks to the power of their evolutionary algorithm, the team finally had a winning blueprint for their new life forms. All they
And so the team finally had the one that was able to survive.
had to do now was create them. Sounds simple? Well, it wasn't. The team used tiny forceps and a microscope to painstakingly perform microsurgery on heart and skin cells to create their novel organisms. And voila, the researchers created their first Xenobots. The biobots could propel themselves, moving
As one of the comments, she said biobots, and Jesus.
in straight lines or in circles. They could work together, herding loose particles into tiny heaps. And
And the scary part is they can work together. And I don't know if they've mentioned it yet, but these things have like a dump truck like appendage on the back of them to where they can store cells and move them for whenever they need to move them. These things can literally interact with your cells, store them in the back of their fucking dump truck, and then move them wherever they want or reorganize them however they want. These things can interact and are programmable. It's
when cut
wild.
open, the Xenobots healed themselves.
They heal themselves. So even if they do put them into our body, that means we have no way of getting them out or destroying them. Even if we were able to find one, we wouldn't be able to destroy them because they heal themselves. Great.
Understanding exactly how cells do this is ultimately the goal behind this research. Cells are incredibly intelligent, and there are still so many things that we don't know about how they work. Like, how do they communicate to build complex bodies, or even heal? If we could decode those signals, scientists could build smarter robots with pre-programmed.
I'm just going to throw out a theory. Maybe it's because every cell's alive and has its own being of consciousness. But you guys kind of throw that line of theory out and will refuse to look at it. Because if you succumb and accept that, then you have to succumb and accept that fetuses inside the womb are alive, because the left's argument is it's just a clump of cells. And clump of cells don't have consciousness. But if anything, how cells work and their correspondence and knowing that what their job is in the body should tell you that cells have some form of consciousness.
That would be biodegradable and biocompatible. And these little Xenobots are just the first step in figuring out how to control anatomy on demand. I mean, just
Control anatomy on demand? What is this woman talking about? So they're literally saying they want to control our anatomy on demand. What? What?
Just imagine all the applications of this type of research.
I don't feel like you're imagining all of the applications to this type of research. I feel like even if you were, you're just completely brushing over the negative ones.
If scaled up, Xenobots could be used for regenerative medicine like repairing organs or growing body parts for transplant from the ground up.
Or fucking with your brain or your DNA, or, just taking anything that they want out of socket and changing how you work.
They could be created using a patient's own cells, then inserted into their bloodstream and programmed to clear the plaque from clogged arteries or to detect cancer.
Or programmed to make you to stop thinking those crazy thoughts you have about freedom and free speech and doing whatever you want. Or even to tell them that you have the vaccine or if you don't. I mean, it goes from simple to large. I mean, there are just so many possibilities of this thing, and you can't ignore the negative ones. Like, you can't act like they just don't exist because you've seen them in a movie somewhere. Like, if anything about 2020 has taught us anything, it's that reality is copying fiction.
The applications aren't just limited to the medical field. The team also envisions assigning individual tasks to a swarm of Xenobots to collect microplastics from the ocean or search and collect radioactive contaminants. Now, a world full of
Or, just wipe out all your white blood cells whenever they feel like they want to.
Custom planet-saving Xenobots sounds really cool, but you
No, no, it doesn't. It sounds very scary.
may have already asked yourself about the ethical implications for creating a totally new form of
Okay, okay, all right. So we're going here. Okay, let's do it.
life. And you're not alone. The
All
team has
right, all right. I'm not alone. What has the team said? Please tell me.
fully acknowledged that future iterations of Xenobots could include nervous systems, blood vessels, or even reproductive parts. And it's
Okay. So you're gonna skip over the whole possibility of this thing being used as a programmable microchip that you guys have already essentially stated it. And you're gonna go straight into the you guys are actually creating life that has the possibility to evolve and reproduce, and you don't see the moral quandaries with that. Like I don't understand. Am I the one that's crazy in today's fucking world now? Like I don't get it. Like how is this stuff not? How is this going under the radar? How is no one really talking about this? Like I don't see Tim Pool, Steven Crowder. Like I no one. Alex Jones. I haven't even really seen fucking talk about it. I mean just like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News won't touch on it. What is going on? Because this thing's out here. Is that part of the narrative? Like maybe is that really the issue that they're planning to put this in some sort of vaccine, like to microchip us? Like because that's the only thing that really makes logical sense if no one's going to report on this, like or even talk about the negative repercussions that this could have on us as a civilization.
these additions that are prompting many to wonder if Xenobots should be considered more than just machines. There's
Again, they're just worried about them being able to reproduce, which yes is a fucking bad thing because now we've just made some other species and who got that's half robot and half machine. It's a cyborg. It's a cyborg. So we just made a cyborg that's able to reproduce. So yeah, we should really think about that and not do it. But there's more than just that. Imagine if this thing got into your body and somehow reproduced. Evolved into being able to reproduce and somehow reproduced. It's not good. It's an intrusive species, in other words. That's what I'm trying to get at. It's basically an intrusive species if it was able to reproduce inside your body.
also the tiny fact that the research is
And
partially
imagine how your body's gonna react to some random cell that has like its own programmable way that doesn't respond to the body. Imagine how your body's going to react to that, especially if it starts reproducing. Your body's not going to be happy about that. It's not going to be having a good time.
sponsored by DARPA's Lifelong Learning Machines program,
Oh, you gotta love DARPA.
which again has left some observers questioning the future direction of this research. However, the research team is open and encouraging of these ethical discussions in the public domain in the hope that policymakers can keep up and implement the right regulations as this science progresses. Right now, the Xenobots are still really basic and currently restricted in their
Good. Let's stop. Let's just go backwards with these things.
reproductive abilities. And in terms of scalability, as we've just learned, these bots aren't exactly easy to create, requiring hours of microsurgery just to create one. The next phase of the research
That's the only good part if they're being honest about it. Because, as a lot of us know, the government is way ahead in terms of technology. Or a lot of us know, not all of us. But so it's very possible that this is just like the base unit. They already have a more improved unit. Maybe it really does take hours to make just one. Who knows how long they've been working on them to make them, and if they're even in a mass production rate at this point. Maybe the vaccine is waiting on these. Maybe that's why we have so little vaccines. Who knows? I don't trust it. I don't trust the vaccine. I, for one, will not be getting the vaccine because of this. This is a very high possibility or probability that it is inside of the vaccine. You really wonder what's going on. If nobody knows about it, or if no one's just talking about it, maybe they're not as concerned about it as I am. I don't know. I just have been wanting to do this video for a while, so I'm hoping you guys are enjoying it. Maybe this is spreading some
Is to
awareness to
develop a
people that didn't
Xenobot
know about
capable
this
of
thing.
carrying a payload using a patient's cells to deliver medications deep within the human body.
Video must be older than the one that I originally watched when learning about this, because the one I originally watched when learning about this, actually, maybe this one, that talked about it already having a appendage cut out of its back, essentially, so that it can carry its
Without
other
eliciting
cells.
an immune response. So ultimately, these Xenobots are just the first steps in trying to understand how life starts, perhaps one day providing scientists with the ability to control exactly how life forms. From
What? Like, come on, man. It's so blatant. I feel like I'm watching a video from the corpos in Cyberpunk. By the way, been enjoying the shit out of that, even with the frame rate drops and the crashes and mild bugs. Fun game, but I feel like like I don't know, man. Like, this is just wild to me, and it's just something I wanted to talk about, and I thought it was funny.
more robotic topics, check out this focal point on a
Yeah, so that's the end of the video. All right, but yeah, I just thought that was an interesting subject, something that I hoped a lot of you might have enjoyed, maybe learned something about. Uh, I know I definitely did when I first watched this. Just wanted to say, please leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I hope to have more out soon. Thank you. You guys have a good one.